I love Mon Calamari Cruisers. I love them so much I'm making a little video about one, which you guys will get to see in early 19. Pound per pound, I would argue that the average MC-80 is the best warship of the Galactic Civil War, and one of the best of all time. Today, we'll discuss why Mon Calamari Cruisers kick ass. So, there are three key features that I want to focus on for today's video. The first is durability. Mon Calamari Cruisers, while packing less of an offensive punch than, say, an Imperial Star Destroyer, have absolutely incredible survivability. This was something we saw with especially later model ships, like the Mon Ramonda style MC-80B. But even the stock cruiser had redundant shields, and on some models like the Home One, an extraordinarily thick hull. The new Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels explains that, and I quote, "Aside from thick hull plating, Mon Cal cruisers have unusually powerful overlapping deflector shields created by dozens of bulbous shield generators. Because a cruiser's shields overlap, damaged shield arrays can be quickly and safely replaced during combat." The Saga edition of the Starships of the Galaxy Guide further explains that Mon Calamari shields recharge at twice the normal rate of a comparable ship, and thus MC-80s would often physically protect smaller, more vulnerable rebel vessels. So you have a strong shield which recharges quickly, and if broken has redundancies which themselves can be replaced. Add to that a thick hull, and on some ships like the Home One, the ability for individual hull sections to operate independently, and you can see why these ships were almost impossible to destroy. This defensive specialization worked quite well for the Alliance, which relied very heavily on starfighters, and thus often the vessels that ferried them into battle. The durability of an MC-80 would allow it to survive even a Star Destroyer onslaught, as her fighters gained space superiority and eventually disabled the enemy ship. Sure, it won't likely outgun the Star Destroyer straight up, but its defenses allow it to survive as its fighters do work. Another strategy was just to allow the MC-80 to sit back outside of optimal firing range of a Star Destroyer, providing some covering fire as the superior Alliance fighters engaged the enemy. So we've got a heavy, well-protected capital ship which works well as a carrier, but which can also dish out enough firepower to directly engage, even without fighter support, anything smaller than an Imperial Star Destroyer. The second thing I want to talk about is the general design philosophy of Mon Calamari Cruisers. Unlike the ISD, the MC-80 has a much more balanced weapon array. Not only do most Mon Cals have guns spread across the top and bottom of the ship, but well-placed batteries allow for forward, backward, and side-to-side firing arcs. The rear firing especially was an advantage over the ISD, which was almost totally vulnerable behind its engines. The cruiser also more heavily mixed ion and turbo laser weapons, allowing for a more varied approach to warfare. These were powered by advanced sensors and weapon control systems, which meant two things. First, even heavy guns like turbo lasers could hit starfighters, and secondly, when combined with its heavy shields, Mon Calamari Cruisers could actually outgun a Star Destroyer at sufficient range. The surprising versatility of the Mon Cal line caused the Empire to take several major losses early on as the cruisers first entered Rebel service. On a design side, we also see a lack of exposed bridges, particularly on the Liberty model. The ships are also able to efficiently pack even X-Wing or B-Wing style starfighters onto a small frame, and Mon Calamari Cruisers were known to bring between 3 to 10 squadrons into battle. The last Mon Cal advantage I want to talk about is a sort of deep dive into versatility, and more specifically configurability and the evolution of the ship line. Early Mon Cal cruisers began their lives as civilian or exploration vessels, but were modified for warfare. This means that during the modification, they could be customized for a variety of roles, from transport to frontline combat. Each ship was also individually distinct, with blisters sporting weapons, shield generators, sensors, or other system hubs. As described by the Essential Guide to Warfare, MC-80s were surprisingly adaptable. What's more, the base of the Mon Calamari ship line lent itself well to evolution and again configurability. During the Galactic Civil War, many smaller MC variants existed, specialized for corvette, light cruiser, or frigate roles. The larger ships, which by the way basically won the Galactic Civil War even as retrofitted civilian vessels were further refined into the MC-80A and the MC-80B. These refinements mostly increased the effectiveness of subsystems, but the B especially also increased the line's hull strength. The later MC-90 was a purpose-built warship and solved one of the few issues of the MC-80, primarily the fact that it was created for the Mon Calamari and was thus somewhat uncomfortable for other species. MC-80s and 90s saw prominent service until the Yuzon-Vong War and beyond. Later models continued the basic template established by the first ships, with a focus on durability, starfighter carrying, and smart ship design. The Viscount, the largest MC ship ever created, was one of the greatest dreadnoughts in galactic history. Anyway, that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just a reminder, we'll get back to the Q&A at the end of every video in the new year. But until then, all I'll say is that I'll see you next time. Thanks guys, this has been EckhartsLadder. May the Force be with you.